Am I the jerk for not agreeing to call my adoptive mom in front of her family for a day? My siblings and I, female, age 25, were adopted when we were 12, 2, 1, and 6 weeks old. We were adopted by my biological mother's half-brother and his wife, who really wanted little kids, and took me in because Child Protective Services didn't want to split us up. They would have given us to another family member further away who was willing to take all of us if they didn't agree to take me. I have anxiety, depression, autism, ADHD, CPTSD, and at the time I had 2 eating disorders. They were not prepared to handle any of that, so I was put in hospitals and other treatment programs for the majority of the first year. Then the second year, I got kicked out of 2 boarding schools. After the second school, my adoptive mother begged her sister to move in and take care of me because they couldn't handle me. I came home and found out I was going to be living in the finished basement with my aunt, and I was upset. I tried really hard to make it difficult for her and get her to leave. She stayed and put everything she had into getting me everything I needed and making sure I'd be able to function as an adult. We moved out when I was 18, and for a while, I didn't hear from my adoptive mother. Our relationship has gotten better over the years, but I don't call her mom and have never seen her as a mom. I've been calling my aunt mom since I was around 16. I'm also engaged to the greatest guy and have an amazing relationship with his mother, who I also call mom. We took in my best friend's 2 children, a 2-year-old male and an 8-month-old female, and the day we told his mother, she went out and bought car seats, high chairs, and cribs. The children had a room in her house and a play area set up by the end of the week. She even drives half an hour each way twice a week to make us dinner, so I don't have to cook. The 2-year-old had a birthday last week, and we invited my adoptive mother and her family. My adoptive mother reached out to me and asked if the children and I could call her mom and grandma while her family was here. I said no, she's not my mom and has never been my mom other than on paper. She ended up skipping the party over this, and I'm worried that this will hurt our relationship. Am I the asshole for not calling her mom while her family was here? You are not in the wrong, but the consequences of her actions are what would hurt your relationship, not you. Her concern about what her family will think is not your responsibility. You may not be the asshole, but this will most definitely affect your relationship with her. And why is only one parent being held responsible when 2 adopted you? Am I the jerk for not going to see my parent because their spouse is there? I, a 19-year-old female, have a father who married his wife a couple of years ago. My father's wife and I have never had a good relationship. She has done the absolute most to avoid me whenever possible. When I was younger, she would find every excuse to not be around me and my sister, saying she had work, had to visit a friend, or some other excuse. Recently, my father's wife got into an argument with my mother, my sister, and me over a Facebook message my sister sent her, asking to talk to our dad because she was struggling and needed his help. She never read the message, but when my father called a couple of hours later, she had a lot of colorful words for my mother. During this call, she threatened to call the police, get a restraining order, and have my mother arrested because she assumed my mother sent the message trying to get my father back. That wasn't the case at all. Once she found out it was my sister who sent the messages, her threats did not ease up or get less intense. She threatened to get all 3 of us arrested and get restraining orders. The thing is, my sister did not say anything mean or insulting to her in the message. All she said was to ask if she could get our father to answer the phone so she could talk to him about some problems. That is the only thing she said to her. She did not stop there. She talked bad about my mother, saying lies about what happened during my parents' relationship. We had no idea where any of this anger came from because my mother had not said anything mean to her and did not do anything that my father's wife was suggesting. The screaming from my father's wife continued until my father told her to go into the other room and said they would talk about it. My father then informed us that she doesn't want us to contact her anymore and that he would call us later. He hung up before we could contest anything. After the phone call, I decided not to go and see my father while she is in the same house or even close to me. If she holds that much anger towards my mother, what can I expect she will say or do to me if I am around her? I know my father loves her and I don't want to make him choose. But at this point, it is either his wife's constant temper tantrums over him talking to his kids or his children, and if we ever have kids, his grandchildren, being in his life. So, am I the asshole? You are not responsible for this, but your stepmom and dad are massive ones. Your dad is letting someone who is acting like they are actually crazy manage his contact with his own kids. When you finally hopefully get to talk to your dad, ask him if he wants to have a relationship with his future grandchildren. Life's too short, and the decisions he makes today to prioritize his marriage over his children will be the regret he carries forever. Am I the jerk for standing up to my husband's parents? I, 31-year-old female, and my husband, 31-year-old male, have been married for a little over a year and moved in with his parents to save money because California is expensive. My husband and I have been having marital issues with his parents, as they have always been in our business since day one. I can imagine that's why they feel entitled to give their opinion on things, but it has gotten worse now that our child is here. We pay rent and have talked to them about boundaries and how they do not need to be in our business. I have been in no contact with them for a while until we had a conversation months ago about it. According to my husband, his mother was going to change, and I should give her the benefit of the doubt because she apologized for all the past things she's done. I didn't bring anything up anymore. My husband and I were having a conversation last night about a situation that came up with my best friend because I was meeting her today. Our room is next to theirs, but we weren't yelling or being loud, honestly. Fast forward to today. I met up with my friend, and she told me that his mother texted her last night after weeks of not talking to her. My friend had told her she didn't think it was appropriate to have communication with her given everything that's happened. I was floored. She asked her if she knew what we were arguing about. I was pissed. I got home and told my husband that I needed to talk to his parents. We did, and I went off. I told them what my friend had told me, and things went south. They stated I was disrespectful and ungrateful that they were helping us. I told them that it was not their business to be asking other people about what my husband and I were arguing about. I finally spoke up because my husband was not about to, and I have kept quiet for a while. I haven't felt comfortable living here, and I feel like this was the nail in the coffin. I obviously need to find a place as soon as possible for me and my kids, because I pretty much gave my husband the ultimatum of either we're moving or I want a divorce. He wants to make us work, but where are we gonna go? He also said that this is too much for him, and I feel a slight sense of guilt. He had a lot to do with the past issues we've had, so I'm ready to get out of here. I'm not sure what his plan is, but at this point, I'm looking out for my kids. My question is, am I the asshole for confronting his parents and giving my husband an ultimatum? Why marry only to go live with his folks and then have a child? You are the jerk here, OP, for being so dependent on his family. Start saving and move to another state if you have to. Putting a value on your mental health is crucial. Your only option is to move out and not have any more children until you can provide a separate household for all of you. Am I the jerk for expecting more from my significant other? I, a 31-year-old female, and my 33-year-old male significant other have been together for 9 years and have 3 kids together. We are not technically married. I stayed home with our first child for 3 years. Then we moved, and I got a full-time job. I got pregnant again a few years later and worked until the day before I gave birth. I had an emergency C-section, which is a story by itself. My maternity leave was short-lived. I was only given 2 weeks of paid leave, and the other 5 weeks were unpaid. During my leave, we had new carpet installed in our house. He told me that if I did not get on all fours to make sure all of our daughter's Barbie stuff, a good portion of which are mine from my childhood, was picked up, it would get thrown out with the old carpet. He put no effort into helping me. I was 2 weeks post-C-section, still had stitches and crawled around to preserve my and my child's toys. When I returned to work, he was supposed to get paternity leave. He got the time, but never the money. He also told me that he would not be doing any of the household chores. So I became the sole income for our family and the housekeeper, 7 weeks postpartum. He never got another job. Fast forward 2 years, I got pregnant again. He was expecting me to take only 2 weeks of maternity leave because, this time, I was only given 2 weeks of paid leave. When I told him I wanted to take 7 weeks, the same as last time, he freaked out and told me we could not afford for me to take that much time off. But he could not get a job to help. Ideally, I would have taken 12 weeks like a standard leave. But being the only income in our house, it was not feasible. He has been the stay-at-home parent for 3 years. The chores he manages to accomplish only benefit him, like his laundry and sometimes the kids' laundry. The things that do not get done unless I do them are as follows. I take the dogs out. I feed the kids breakfast. I feed the kids dinner. I walk in the door from work and start cooking immediately, barely getting to say hello to my kids. I go to the grocery store. I make the bed. I put the children's clothes away. I vacuum. I do the dishes. I do any cleaning. I wash the windows. I mop and sweep. I clean the toilet. I take the kids outside. I do arts and crafts. I play games with the kids. I bathe the kids. I get the baby dressed. I feed the baby solid food. He feeds the baby only puffy snacks and formula. There are probably things I missed. The fed up mama. OP, you've been with this person for 9 years, and he's shown you exactly who he is. He has an amazing setup where he doesn't need to change because you pay for and do everything. The more important question is, why are you modeling this behavior for your children? Have some self-respect and leave the dead weight. Am I the jerk for not transferring all my money to a joint savings account? Hi Reddit, I'm a 32-year-old female who just got back from a vacation abroad with my longtime partner, a 36-year-old male, and it has caused some trust and financial issues. During the trip, he lost his phone, lost our passports, and got detained by police for trying to sneak one joint into a music festival. Thankfully, we got his phone and passports back. However, when he got detained, they cut off his festival wristband and kicked him out. It was literally day 1 at 3 p.m., and we had looked forward to this festival for over 15 years. It's incredibly hard to get passes to this festival. He ended up buying a $5,000 weekend festival pass on resale so that he wouldn't ruin our weekend, and we ended up still having a great time. But always at the back of my mind, I couldn't help but think about how this man added so much stress to what was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. During the festival, he brought up how we should combine our savings accounts so that we could earn more interest and come up with a plan to pay off the trip and the wristband he got on resale. I was a bit hesitant because of everything I just mentioned, but I understood that we could make more money from our high-yield account if we combined. Today, he added me to his account, which has substantially more money than what I can contribute, and asked me to make a transfer. I transferred 4/5 of my savings and kept the rest in my original savings. He sort of had an idea of how much I had in total, and then asked me why I didn't transfer the rest. I told him that my mom gave me that money for emergencies, and that I still wanted to have my own savings account for personal financial goals. He did not like that at all, and told me that I had trust issues. I didn't deny it. I told him I was already hesitant to transfer a single cent after what we had just experienced on our trip, but that ultimately I knew that if we combined, we could earn a bit extra. So I did what he wanted anyway. I told him that he could keep a separate savings account too, that I didn't mind, but that I wanted to have something only I could access. I told him that as a woman, I'd like to have my own little nest egg, and that I found it weird he was giving me grief for keeping a small amount of money to myself. Here's where I may be the antagonist. I called him manipulative and suggested that maybe he was scared that if I had my own separate money, it would be easier for me to walk away. He really blew up on me, saying that he was taking all the risk and that he is doing just fine without my money to make his own life, which is true. He is the main breadwinner and pays for pretty much everything, though I paid for most of the trip myself. Then he told me combining our savings was a terrible idea and to take my money back and we can try again when we fully trust each other. I don't know what to think. I know he makes more money, but is it so wrong if I want my own savings? Please help. You behaved properly. Time to take a hard look at this relationship. If he added you to his account, then he can also delete you, so don't leave your money in his account. The fact that he is this upset because you won't give every bit of your savings into his joint account is wild to me. Am I the jerk for wanting my roommate to contribute to rent after study abroad? I, a 24-year-old female, live with 2 other roommates, a 24-year-old female and a 24-year-old male. The other 2 are in a relationship and share a room. My roommate, let's call her Kate, was studying abroad in Italy for the last academic year on scholarship. While she was away, my other roommate Tony and I were splitting rent and bills according to what we agreed on. Kate got back in late April from her program. Tony and I had agreed that we would give Kate some time to readjust and settle back down after her program. We had a conversation in late May establishing the ground rules for the house since Kate is back. One thing established was that Kate would begin paying rent at the beginning of August and would be officially added to the lease that month as well. Tony had been paying $1,100 and I was paying $1,300. The new split would be Kate paying $700, Tony paying $700, and me paying $1,000. Everyone agreed that was a reasonable time frame for Kate to find a job and start making enough money to pay her portion of the rent and bills. Now it is August, and I was only told a few days before rent was due that Kate doesn't have a job and can't pay rent in a message from Tony. This is frustrating because I expected to hear something from Kate telling me that she didn't have the money. I haven't heard anything either from Kate about the situation or expressing any apologies about missing the deadline. Since June, Kate had applied to some jobs but has expressed that she wants a job that is fair paying and won't treat her poorly. I completely understand because I have worked several restaurant and corporation part-time jobs where I was treated like a puppet. However, it got to a point in July where I would come home and see Kate watching stuff on her phone for hours in the living room. I don't expect her to apply for jobs with every living moment, and I understand she could have been applying to places while I was at work. I am frustrated that Kate doesn't have a job, even though she has been living rent-free for 3 months after graduation. Tony has been supporting Kate's groceries and personal care items since she got back. Am I the antagonist for wanting Kate to get a job and understand that she can't keep taking advantage of me and the situation? Also, I would like to hear anyone's suggestions on how to make Kate understand that she has to get a job and pay rent by September. You did nothing improper. She is taking advantage of the situation, maybe not intentionally, but she should contribute her part. Honestly, the best approach might be to be straightforward and tell her that rent needs to be split. And if she can't do that within an agreed time frame, you'll have to find someone who can. Kate can't live rent-free until she finds the perfect job. If she can't pay rent, she might need to move back in with her parents, as enabling her will only prolong the issue. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.